Boobays.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey.
I was going to say howdy. Hello.
Howdy do.
Howdy do. We are both hungover.
Just a little hungover. You know,
We have Friendsgiving and
it was really fun.
we went hard. I tried to put Josh on a roof.
We
He wanted to
did. Oh, I just forgot. I just remembered that.
Robert was like, absolutely
Robert
not.
stopped us. Oh no! Wow.
I don't know why I thought it was a good idea.
Why did I want to get on the roof?
I don't remember. All I know is that I was just like, okay,
Yes.
I'll
and
cheerleader
you and Sonia
you up.
were like, we can do this.
Yeah.
We can make this happen. Oh man. I kind of wish I would have got on it now.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you didn't like fall and break
Yeah, that's true.
yourself.
My balance was probably not the best at
Yeah.
the moment.
I don't
We
think
did
any of
go in
ours were.
hard. We were just shots in.
Apparently, Sonic makes a hard seltzer now.
Yeah, that's what they brought, right?
Yeah, that was so weird.
I never tried it, but I heard it getting passed around.
Yeah,
I just literally kept hearing them be like, "Do you want a Sonic seltzer?"
it kind of tastes like this Pedialyte I have right here. It kind of tastes like that.
Okay, like just watered down. I mean,
Yeah, it was like water. It was
but
like
yeah.
orange pineapple. It was
Oh
weird.
yeah. That's how most seltzers are too. I'm not a big seltzer fan.
Yeah, me neither. I
Um,
like beer.
Excelsior. Anyways,
And eggshells and mayo.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Whenever I was a kid, we couldn't
Oh.
say in excelsis deo or however the fuck it is.
Yeah.
And so they would say in eggshells and mayo.
And
Because when
eggshells
you're
and mayo.
singing, it kind of sounds like it.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, well,
That's a good little tip for people out there.
this is Boobays. We're
Hi.
Boobays.
We are the Boobays, and welcome to our podcast
Uh-huh.
where we talk about the spooky,
And horror and the
thriller, the mystery,
love.
all of it.
Today's a love story.
Today
Also,
is a
I'm
love story.
Caitlin.
Oh, and I'm Joshua.
I don't think we
Hi.
said that.
Mm.
As of right now, we were just hungover. That was
Yeah.
our names.
And now that I've said my name out loud, I am present. I am no longer still hungover. So we're talking about
That would be amazing.
drum roll.
Crimson Peak. A favorite of one of mine. Is
Yeah.
it a favorite of yours?
It wasn't like a favorite, but I knew that I enjoyed it, and then rewatching it now, it's pretty good.
You're like, this ain't half bad.
It's not half
It's
bad.
not.
There's some good shit in there.
Yeah, it
Um,
really is. Oh, but
mhm.
before we wanted to read Courtney's
that's
comment
true.
about the ritual.
Yeah. So go for it.
Once we posted our our post for the ritual on
Mhm.
Instagram, we had a friend of the podcast, Courtney, comment that she really enjoyed this movie, and whenever she watched it when it first came on to Netflix,
Mhm.
and she said that it really creeped her out. So it's just another nice little tidbit, and we appreciate y'all interacting with our posts and everything like that. It really means a lot to us. So,
It does.
and we love hearing y'all's feedback and hearing how y'all feel about each of these movies that we talk about each
Mhm.
week. Because then when y'all let us know, it's like you're in on the conversation. So,
And it's always fun to be in on the conversation.
uh-huh.
And we get to like make a whole narrative and talk about all these scary movies that we love so much. So yeah.
With
just
y'all. Because, I mean, y'all get to
thankful.
listen and like commentate, but we never get to hear what y'all think. So it's cool when y'all get to respond to us. We really like it.
Yeah, and so if you're not following us on Instagram, make sure you do that. So
Yeah,
we
you
can
literally
do
only
that.
have to follow us in one place. It's not like we're on a bunch of platforms.
And then you can see all our posts and keep updated when we release new content or maybe have other events that we have planning coming up.
Mhm.
And also you get to see
You have
cute
some things in the
posts by our Caitlin.
Yeah, finally, after like 3 months, I posted those photos from the Madame Tussauds.
Tussauds. It's beautiful.
When I
Those are
said
cool.
I was going to post them on like the first or second episode. I finally posted them yesterday. It's fine. It was so fun though.
I love it. It's awesome.
But
It's the way that it's our most liked post so far.
Yay.
It's you, Caitlin.
it's that the lighting that they had for those balloons was so fucking cool. They really did a bang up job. Oh, but yes, so we are doing Crimson Peak today. Woohoo!
Directed by Guillermo del Toro.
Del Toro. Man, what
Good.
has Del Toro not done?
I mean, there's some good stuff there.
he
Like,
really has done some.
We've got like Pan's Labyrinth,
Oh, an
Shape
absolute
of
favorite of
Water,
mine.
Hellboy. I love
Oh yeah,
Hellboy.
Hellboy's good too.
And a lot of other movies. There's just
He's
so
done
many.
so much,
Yeah.
and such a wide variety as well, like The
Mhm.
Hobbit,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he's really got a
He's got a
great.
good versatility to him.
Mhm.
But he does like to stay in the realm of like not horror, but
Kind of,
like
yeah.
this like
Unsettling, creepy. So, and with The Ritual for
Mhm.
Motor, he and the guy who I forget his name now, who does all the like costume design for him,
yes.
came in and designed
create
Motor.
the
So
beast.
that's nice how that kind of ties in.
Yeah.
We totally planned that.
We really did. I love how it all links in together. Well, actually, no, it's kind of funny because here in a minute, getting into this movie, there's another tidbit where I'm like, this is connected.
Yeah, with Loki.
Yeah, exactly.
Loki and Tom
Tommy.
Hiddleston.
Mr. Hiddle.
Ooh, God, he is so fine in this movie.
It's-
Jesus Christ.
Everybody really loves Tom Hiddleston.
I do.
right?
Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
really do.
What is it for you?
I don't know.
Is it the length?
Uh,
He's so tall.
he's like skinny, but first off, we always love a good tall skinny boy because big ass dicks.
There you go. You heard it here first, guys.
But
You heard it here first. I mean, isn't that Pete Davidson, right?
Yeah.
Why he's literally with
Kim Kardashian
right
now.
now, and he's dated like all these other women.
Ariana,
Literally.
yeah, he's bagged like two of the hottest women. Yeah.
And then there was someone after Kate Beckinsale too for a whole minute
Jeez,
there.
yeah. See, it's
Yeah. I mean,
women
what
will do
else?
some weird things for.
I don't think they like to laugh that much. They can't be that funny.
But I don't. Even in this movie though, he's like skinny, but his chest looks real broad. Like there's that one scene where
Mhm.
where Lucille's kind of jacking
Oh,
him
yeah,
off,
yeah.
and I mean, God,
Yeah.
but to be Lucille,
Well, to be Jessica Chastain.
yeah,
I mean,
in general.
it's just gorgeous.
First off, yeah, this movie's got a huge cast, like
Yeah.
pretty
I mean,
big
yeah.
names.
We've
We've-
got Mia Wasikowska. Yeah, Wasikowska. Every time I think of her name, I just say Mike Wazowski. Mike
Yeah.
Wazowski.
I always say Wakakowski, but
Yeah.
I don't think that's
Yeah,
right.
it's Wazikowska. Yeah. And then we've got Tom Hiddleston, Jessica
Mm.
Chastain, Charlie Hunnam, and Jim Beaver.
Yeah. So Billy from Supernatural. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been so long since I've watched Supernatural, but
Literally me. Just kept up with like the first 2 seasons, and then I didn't really watch anything after that.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
that was one show that I watched from like season 1
Mm-hmm.
up until about season 9, and then I kind of fell off.
At that point, like how much Supernatural can you get into?
Yeah,
Like, are we
the
repeating
storyline kind of
storylines?
repeated itself. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's very good, and I am a big fan of them.
Jason Padalecki and the other guy,
Yeah, Jensen Ackles.
Jensen Ackles. There you go.
I've been to Family Business Brewery, which is his
Oh, really?
brewery. Yeah, his wife Daniela, I believe is her name, served
That's
me
cool.
beer.
Wait, where's that at?
Dripping Springs.
Here in Texas?
Mhm.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
both him and Jared are from Texas.
John, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
Cool.
that is a fun fact.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Close to home. All
back
right.
to the movie.
So Crimson Peak is I would say it's like it's a gothic horror movie, right?
Yeah, to
Mhm.
me, it's very much. It reminds me kind of like Bly Manor, The Haunting of Bly Manor. It's like a love story that just happens to have
The ghost in it.
some ghosts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like to me, I don't know if I would necessarily classify this as a horror.
Mm-hmm.
To
More
other,
drama,
yeah, like drama, thriller.
period piece.
Yeah. But then like looking back at it, I'm like, okay, yes, this is to anyone who is easily scared.
Yeah.
This is going to scare them.
Yeah.
But like to me,
and it's the way when they do incorporate those elements of horror or like the ghost part aspect of it, like it's not just like a little wisping ghosts. It's like really like detailed. Like they made them look scary.
yes.
For a reason.
And this is actually, so I've mentioned multiple times how I do not like when they show the face of the ghost or the monster, because no matter what I have planned is scarier. This is a film where I don't mind it.
You are the only exception.
Yes.
Crimson Peak.
It's true because I mean, I think I even have a note in here somewhere that's just like, yeah, the faces don't bother me at all in here. I think they do a good job.
Yeah, it's a way that
the
I actually
faces.
quite found them beautiful.
Mhm.
Almost. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, it's
'Cause
like
it's so beautifully crafted.
it's just
Made.
it draws you in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very aesthetic, everything fits.
Yeah.
It's just well rounded, and it looks, I mean, they really nailed it on the head, I think.
And then yeah, so it and they carry that all the way throughout the whole movie.
They do.
It's just, at least for me, one big takeaway from it is that like I loved how it was shot, and like all the imagery and like the house and
I loved for a bit at the beginning, it has those black circle fades when they're transitioning from scene to scene.
Yeah.
And I loved that.
Yeah,
I
it gives
thought
it
that was
that
such
old,
a-
like
yeah.
that callback feel, vintage feel, I guess.
I thought that was really great. It doesn't carry through the movie as much, but at the beginning it happens quite a few times.
Well, and it's maybe because they're around all those other people, and so it really gives you like the sense of like the socialite like times that they were in. Which honestly, okay, maybe I missed it. Did you know what year or time they were in? Like, I know it was back in the day, but
Yes,
I couldn't
actually
tell.
have no clue.
I got like 1920s, but also like 1860s.
I think it feels like it was like 1917 to me.
Mm.
Why does my search history song about single mom 2019?
Oh my God.
We were trying to figure out that
Last night?
rockabye. Yeah.
Oh, rockabye, baby,
Yeah.
rockabye. Yeah, we did karaoke last night, guys.
We did.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Lord.
Oh goodness. Let's see if I can find it.
It's the way that in my head.
It was released in 2015.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I saw this movie multiple times in theaters.
Oh, really?
I loved it so much. I went back and I saw it. I saw it quite a
that's
few
super
times.
Cool.
I
I wish I would have had the theater experience with it. I remember when I first watched it, probably in like 2017. I didn't even remember like. I don't think that I had even like seen trailers or preview. Like, I don't
really?
remember it being too heavily like promoted. So I honestly didn't even know like
1887.
1887. See, okay, yeah, I was like either between 1860s or 1920s, like in that period.
That's where it is.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I remember being very excited for it. I think I saw it like one of the opening weekends, and then I for sure went back once to see it again, but I really think I went 3 times.
Okay.
This was when, like, because back in this like time period, I would go see movies like
all the time.
yeah, and like Marvel, like all the Marvel movies. Like I think I saw like some of the Spider-Mans like 4 times in theaters.
Where Tom Holland stands.
Yeah, and so I would go to rewatch films a lot if I really liked them.
Yeah.
And this is one that I did go back multiple times, and then I did also buy it on Blu-ray the moment it came out. So
Take my money.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was a fan
That's
of this
good.
film
Well,
quite a bit. I loved it. I loved everything about it, the aesthetic, everything. I think it's a great story with some good plot twist.
Yeah. When I first watched it, I mean, there was a little, the big plot twist at the end.
They
I
hint
knew
at
that
it,
they were
but
colluding.
Yes.
Like, right. Like, I knew these people were colluding, but I didn't know that it was going to go there.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because I mean it's such a taboo subject, even in fiction.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's like to go there. It's like, oh fuck, oh God, okay.
Yeah. That's disturbing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
So yeah, we're just gonna jump into it, you guys. Let's see. So, we started off the movie beautifully with Mia. We're just gonna call her Edith, I guess now, because that's her character, Edith. And then like outside or whatever with the snow. It's basically a scene from later on in the movie.
Yeah.
But we're opening with it right now.
I
And-
love when films and books start with the ending.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's such a
And
great.
it's like you start, and then it's like, this is how we got here.
And so it's like, I mean, you don't know that's the ending until you get to
Yeah.
the end. But
Which is really good.
and the
The way that
creepy
they do
song playing the melody that Lucille would sing to Thomas was awesome. I loved the whole vibe of that. It looks really good. But yeah, it lets you know that shit's about to go down, which
Really.
is so fun.
Yeah, it's very foreshadowing.
It like
and
lets you get ready for it.
and this whole opening line to it, she's like, "Ghosts are real. This much I know." And
I love that line.
yeah, it's so much. I wrote it down.
I did
like, in
too.
quotes. I'm like, yes.
And with the like, yes emoji, and then the bless.
And then so we go into her, just talking about how the first time she had seen a ghost is when after her mother died of black cholera, and she was a little girl.
And this little girl did a great job of acting. She did a fantastic job.
Yeah. For like literally not even within the first 10 minutes we get our first ghost. Yeah. And
right off the bat.
So she's in bed and she is, just in bed, and then you start hearing like all the eerie, creepy, like there's something coming, and then all of a sudden, like, I love how they shot it to where it's like slow but then fast whenever she pops up.
So when her hand wrapped around her shoulder, I think I jumped.
Yeah, it's one of those.
I was just kind of like,
give you a little good jump scare, and I think it's effective. And even if you don't jump, it's just like very like scary, like the way that she comes up, because you imagine like a little kid. I'm imagining myself in this like fucking skeleton ghost.
I would have had a heart attack.
And if y'all have like, if you don't see it, she basically looks like what I would think of like a black bride, like Dia de los Muertos kind of thing, like her whole get up, which honestly I'm like, it's beautiful and scary at the same time. But yeah, that is creepy as fuck.
It is. And the way that her finger, like her hand like goes on one by one by each finger, and it's just like, ugh.
And then she says, beware of Crimson Peak. Yes.
And then they're like, oh, and this is where I love the black circle transitions. It might be that the black circle transitions happened when they were changing from like time to time, because there were some flashbacks. You know? Maybe that's what it was.
That might be what it is. How they like separated it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then Edith is commenting, and she said, it'll be years before I understand what that warning meant, blah, 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 stuff like that. And then it pans back to 1867. Is that what I said? Or 70?
Yeah, 1867. And to like where I guess she's now what, an 19-year-old probably?
Yeah, she's
young.
She's still young, yeah, for sure. I don't know quite how old she is. They don't really address it.
Age is not real.
Yeah.
Here.
And then, but she's going in to work on her piece of fiction, because Edith is a writer.
She is a writer.
Which is a big part because, well, at the end, we figure out Edith has made this book, Crimson Peak, that they pan in on the beginning. And I love that. It feels very storybook. Like we're going into a fairy tale of sorts.
It's meta too.
Yeah. I like the way that they did that intro with and showing Crimson Peak. That was how they showed the title. Was as her book. And so I thought that was really great. Which then again at the end you see
it's full circle. Yeah. And then it also just like, it's a great, like there's so many elements to it where it's also like what ends up happening to her through the movie, and how she takes those experiences and like turns that trauma into like, I'm gonna make a fucking book out of it. There we go.
Yep. She's like, we're at least gonna make some money off this.
Literally. For real. As one should. Make money off your trauma.
That's right.
There we go.
So then we go in though, and we get to meet Alan.
Oh, Alan.
I love him. He's so sweet.
Played by Charlie Hunnam.
What a little sweetie.
And he loves her.
Yes, he does. He really does.
Yeah.
And they run into his bitch ass sister and mom.
They were horrible people.
So fucking rude.
I know.
Jesus.
The way that they're actually people like that too, though.
Yes. And I'm like, how is Alan from the same family as y'all? Like, he is such a sweetheart, and y'all are just fucking rude as shit.
And so and so
they're talking about the baronet, right?
Yes, baronet. He's a baronet.
Yes. So that's Tom Hiddleston's character. Hasn't come in yet, but they're referring to talking about the baronet.
They were expecting him,
And they asked Edith what she thought of that, and she goes, a baronet is just a parasite with a title. And I was like, ooh.
It's the way that they're all fawning and like doing this. And what the one girl's like, whoa, he's a charming parasite.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And it's like,
because I mean, at this time, society, like they just wanted to get married off to like the man with the biggest title or had the most money.
Yeah. It's a very Pride and Prejudice. You're trying to make sure that you are going to be provided for.
Yep. Survival.
Yes. Yeah.
Very much so.
That is definitely how it was. But yeah, so she's going to get her work reviewed, right? Her piece of fiction. Yes. And essentially, because she's a woman, she gets told it needs to be a love story.
Yeah.
And not so much ghost.
Little did she know she would write a love story. But at that point, she is, I guess, taken, not offended, but she's just like
Yeah.
frustrated, right?
I think
That's
think
offended, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
she seems pretty offended.
Yeah, like she's just, and
But definitely still
for
frustrated.
like frustrated with the system and the way that like he's not taking her like material seriously or like giving her the time of day. He's just like,
because of her gender.
yeah,
And then it pans over to her father gifting her
a pen,
this pen, which does come in handy later.
which will come back later. It really
Yeah.
does. Yep.
And it's so sweet. He's so sweet to her. Their relationship is so wholesome.
Yeah.
I love it. Then she goes, I want to type it because I believe my handwriting's too feminine and it gives me away.
Yeah.
And so,
And they'll,
which is unfortunate.
someone might
that-
actually read or like publish her stuff if like it's just typed and you can't tell who's behind it.
Which a lot of females did. Like,
They did that or had a pseudonym, like a male's name.
I was like, there's quite a few. And did Mary Shelley at one point? Did she? I feel like maybe she originally published under a male name as well. I don't remember that. I could be making that up. I have no clue.
No, I mean, I have no clue, but I do.
She mentions Mary Shelley too.
I know she does.
She's
yeah,
like,
because
she died a widow.
it's because someone called her a what's it? The other Jane Austen.
Jane Austen.
Someone. Yeah. And it's just like, no.
Yeah.
Mary Shelley.
I want to be Mary Shelley.
Yeah.
Writing horror stories and
yeah.
dying a widow. Love it.
Yeah.
But now in comes our daddy Thomas Sharp Baronet.
I put
AKA
it's Loki.
Hiddleston. Yes,
and
it is.
that's
Loki.
how I was like, oh wow, this is connecting to the ritual because it was Modor who is Loki's bastard child.
offspring. Yep.
So now we have the one and only Tom Hiddleston, who I can only see as Loki now.
Yeah, he has really taken on the Loki role. Love him so much. Ugh, what a cutie. He comes in though, and he's
in a meeting, right?
Yes, to offer and try to get funds
for his clay harvester.
His little mining thingy,
invention. Yeah.
And as they're in there discussing, her dad, I forget his name now, stands up and he was like, "You've already tried and failed to collect capital in London, Edinburgh, Milan," which is important
because that'll come up later as well. There's so much that like they tie in throughout the whole movie.
Yeah,
that if you rewatch it, you're like, oh wow.
See now,
yeah. You were telling us the whole time. It's right under our nose.
Yeah, they're giving you hints the entire time.
Yeah,
which I love. Like, I mean, and then there's some that are more subtle, like the when you watch, but these ones are. I mean, they're making a big point of it because they don't want you to be
heavy on
fucking
the hammer.
confused later on. So they did a great job with that. And so essentially he says, and then he says, he grabs his hand and he goes, my hands are rough through hard work.
I've worked and we've all earned our spot here and you haven't done enough. You haven't put in your dues, basically.
Yeah. And he's like, you, sir, have the softest hands I've ever felt.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, but that's the times, that's the very these men, these guys who have all this money. I mean, they do get to control whatever happens. They're the investors, basically. So. Yeah.
But, and America was all about that back in the day too. Like we pulled ourselves up by our bootstraps.
And we worked. We were poor. And now we're not.
Yeah.
We're American. Yeah. Because they're basically just telling him to F off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we love Alan. I don't remember why, but I just love him.
Oh, Alan.
Love him so much.
Is that because, they talk about all that. Oh, yeah, because I don't know why you wrote that.
I just love him.
You just had to mention it.
Yeah. Aww.
Yeah. So, they're getting ready for the party, right?
This is why, because he comes in and he comes to pick up her father.
Yeah,
He's getting ready. And
that's right.
And he just says some very sweet things about her and him. I just love him all the way around. The way that he treats her father. He's just a stand-up guy.
Yeah.
Love him so much. He's such a little sweetie.
He's husband material.
And Edith is staying home from this party because, she doesn't feel like engaging in social aspects like this. Tea. Yeah. And she would rather stay home and write and relax, which it's like, yeah, same.
For real. Homebody.
But she goes back upstairs once she's alone. And all of a sudden she's getting kind of a
Oh yeah, that's
very
right.
similar scene that happened to her as a child.
Yes, yes, because Ghost Mommy is coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually, I like the way this one was seen because you see her at the end of the corridor,
Yeah.
the hallway, and it's just really like, ooh,
It's like,
okay,
ooh.
spooky.
And then the way that the doorknob is just going like ham. It's like
Yeah.
freaking out.
And
Ooh,
then,
I'll put, we don't fuck with doorknobs wiggling like that. Mm-mm. And then it gets stuck
Yeah.
in the down position. And so then when she goes to touch it and it pops up,
back up.
that's a good little jump
bit,
scare. Yeah, too.
And then she closes the door, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, and then or it closes itself, right?
Something. It definitely
Yeah,
closes.
It closes, and then she's just like pressed up against it, like trying to listen to what's on the other side, and then boom, through the
Boom,
door.
Through the door.
I really like that part too.
Yeah, it was
Ghost
a good
Mommy
scene.
comes in, and she's just like, "Beware of Crimson Peak." And it's like also too though, like, Mom, why are you coming back? And like,
Why are you looking so
could
scary?
you couldn't just like sat down next to them and be like, honey, when you get
Crimson
older,
Peak.
Crimson Peak, just keep that in mind. It's
Don't go there.
not a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, she
don't.
had to manifest as a very unsettling
Maybe it was
spirit.
the black cholera.
Yeah, maybe just her image in death is
Yeah.
terrifying. That's why, I mean, it did say she had a closed casket. So
Yeah, because I know that like plague disease, it made you like get all pussy.
Yeah, pussy.
Sorry, oh my god, pussy, and pussy and like gross, and you had like boils all over, and
Ew.
like you had open wounds and stuff, and like infections. So
Gross.
yeah,
Yikes. Well, so yeah, she's scary. She gets the warning again, and then all of a sudden, Sir Thomas Sharp, Baronet,
yes,
is
he
waiting.
arrives. Yeah,
Mhm,
because
soaking wet.
and the maid, I don't know what she is. There's house, take care. I don't know what they're called back then, but
Mhm.
she's just like, he's insistent. He won't leave.
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's a red flag.
It is. Yeah, it is. And so she goes down, and I said, he really does know how to work people. I said,
Yeah.
the strongest, like, women per se. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, because she was really like adamant on how she was and not being hung
Like
up
she's
on
already
love.
breaking character for this
Yeah.
boy. Like
And-
barely knows him,
Mhm.
but he's very charismatic and charming.
Yes, which
And-
is always a red flag too.
Yeah, and as well as like, because later on we figure out in the movie like this man's got secrets, but he's very good at manipulating like what
Mhm.
he wants people to think of him.
Yes.
Yes.
And so he ends up persuading her to go to the party that she
Mhm.
said she wasn't going to go to. And so then it pans to the party, and this is the first time we get to meet Lucille.
Yes.
And she's sitting there playing the piano rather beautifully, and we get to see that fat ass crimson ring on her
that
finger.
She has, yeah. Which
Yes.
they pan to very. And once again, it's one of those moments where it's like this comes back later, but you don't even know it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, they like make a point of pointing it out, but
Mhm.
you don't like think too much of it until you see it again, and then you're like, oh, yep. And she gets there, and everyone's kind of like, oh, like what?
Yeah.
Edith is here, and then her dad and Alan are like, interesting development, don't you think?
Yeah.
But then she goes to apologize to bitch mom,
Ugh.
and
And then
she's like, I understand if you don't have a place for me, and she goes, everybody has their place. I'll
And
make
you'll-
sure you find yours.
Yeah.
Which is like, ooh.
She was a
Damn.
bitch.
She was.
She was stone cold.
Yeah, she really was. It
It's
was
the way
like,
she only had those lines, and I hated her.
uh-huh.
I was like, ooh, no.
Yeah, she was not a nice lady at all.
And then, yeah, like you said, I think right after that, that's when he introduces her to his sister, Lucille, right?
Yeah, it's either right before that or it's right after. After
Both
the candle
little-
waltz.
They little dance, yes.
Which the candle waltz scene is really cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Like if I saw that in person, I would be like,
Stunned. I'm like,
that's
wow.
so neat.
Yeah, for real. Because I don't think I could do that.
oh no.
No.
Because
That-
they were moving so
that flame would
fast.
go out.
Yeah.
How is that even possible, too?
I
So
don't know.
basically, Mr. Thomas asked Edith to dance with him, and even
Which was an
yeah,
upset.
and she was like, no, forget the other girl's name.
Mm-hmm.
But then he was like, no, I'm asking you, and I want you to dance with me.
She says, but I think she would be delighted. And he goes, I dare say, but I have asked you.
Yeah,
And he says, I dare say. I was like, ooh.
yeah.
I don't know. I just love it.
There's we'll add that. I dare say, we should bring that back. And so
For
yeah,
real.
they do this little dance that he introduces as the whatever waltz, and like he's explaining to the crowd that it's like performed, or it's I don't know what's the word I'm looking for.
Swiftly, if it's done correctly, and
Yeah, there you go.
if it's
If you're,
swift enough,
if you're holding a candle and the flame won't go out.
yeah. And so they make it through the whole waltz, and the flame's still there.
I like the way how she blew it out at the end. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty cool.
It was cute.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it. It's a real good scene.
Yeah.
And then we start panning over to, I think,
So
what is one of my favorite scenes with the so they're sitting there talking out in like a park setting, and
oh yeah.
Lucille is
Right
walking.
before that though, we do have her dad hiring Mr. Holly, remember?
Oh, right.
And he tells him that he's suspicious of Lucille and Thomas, and so that just comes into play later.
Oh
because,
yes, that is important.
Dad is digging up dirt, basically
He's
hiring
suspicious.
a private eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, there's something I don't like about those two.
And then after that, we have another Alan moment where she's with Alan. He's showing her the photographs that he got, right?
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
I might have.
Because that happens right before the conversation between Lucille
Okay.
and Edith outside in the park.
I do like the ghost photography. Oh, that's why I put the minerals and stuff.
Yeah, so it's explaining how like
He said
what's
due
this-
to like the nature of the earth and the minerals, that it can retain impressions of people
mm-hmm.
who have passed, and so that the way that the photography happens and the way that those plates are
the glass plates.
Yeah, it has impressions of people who are not there anymore.
Yeah, which was really cool and really interesting, and it really also describes the way that these ghosts are in this movie as well. When you see them later on,
And yeah, because the minerals, I mean,
mm-hmm.
they work on a clay thing. The minerals are a big part of it, I think.
Yeah, and so after that, we go into to your scene where you're talking about where they're outside, Lucille, Thomas, and Edith.
Yes.
They're
walking around. He's kind of reading through her manuscript, but then we get this wonderful. You get a little bit of a side bit of like her taking off the ring, giving it to Lucille, taking off the ring, giving it to Thomas, saying, "But I want this back. Like this is mine. I earned it," kind of thing. So that's your first like, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah, there's something sus.
Yeah,
y'all are being shady,
and they're in on something together.
It's also in the scene too. I really liked whenever Lucille and Edith were having their little chat.
Yes,
and
that's my favorite part.
Yeah, and Lucille's talking about like it's basically a dog-eat-dog world. Like animals are always eating each other. It's not meant to be beautiful.
And she says, but where we're from, we only have black moths, and that's because they thrive on the cold. And then Edith goes, what do they eat? And she says, butterflies, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
And then like they're rubbing the wings on their face, and then we get that really awesome
Close-up
scene
shot
with the ants just eating the eyeballs.
I love that.
Yeah, I love that scene too. I think the whole dialogue that happened there, and then the way that pans in, I loved it.
And then it's also too because at so many points in this movie, it's a metaphor for the actual movie as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like
because Edith is that butterfly.
That part, and even in the beginning when she's the guy was reading her work, and he was like, it's a ghost story, and she's like, it's not a ghost story, it's just a story with ghosts in it. Like, and that's this whole movie.
Yes,
like, so,
exactly.
Yeah. I love that. And so we have that convo between them. It's very meta, the black moth, the butterfly, and then we have, I think right after that is where Mr. Cushing gets the information on like what Mr. Holly found out about.
Yes, Mr.
Thomas
Holly has come back and shown him marriage certificates, I believe is what it was.
Of him already being married.
Yes. To 3 people.
And so then at that point, which I guess like, did he not have them like, was he technically he was still married to the last one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, technically. Like, how do you why wouldn't even like divorced like it's like I feel like people can easily look up records.
Yes.
Like why didn't they cover that track?
Yeah. I don't know.
But yeah, so then Mr. Cushing tries to pay off Lucille and Thomas.
Says, get the fuck out of here.
And tells Thomas that he has to break Edith's heart. And so yeah, basically
He does so by like essentially trashing her work of fiction. And then he has the line that says, perfection has no place in love. And I really liked that line. I thought that was really good.
That's very true.
And I mean, it's heartbeaking to hear the things like.
Well, it's the way that
imagining
he
if
goes
you're in that position.
He goes off on her. He's basically berating her in front of all these people, and then she just slaps the fuck out of him.
Yeah,
and it's the slap heard around the world. And it's the way that I love the way to cut to her dad, and he's just like, yeah. I'm like, bitch, you did this. You just go and let him slap. Like what? Yeah.
No, but like to imagine having the thing that you have worked the hardest on, and that you are. Like, it's vulnerable to let people in and read
and then for them
stories that you've written or like hear things that you've written and then to have them like openly tell you that it's trash. Like that's a terrible pain. And so he definitely did. And then we get to Dad.
That was his face for me.
It was. But then we get to this fucking bathroom scene.
You know, I really like that bathroom.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
Pretty cool.
It's a dope ass bathroom.
Yeah.
I just, as I've said before, I don't like faces being smashed in. So I have to kind of look away.
Cringe for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, we're in this bathroom kind of thing, locker room. We're all
in a little like club,
old timey guys. Yeah, club. And Edith's dad is getting shaven up for the day, getting ready. And I love how he like has an assistant in there basically, and he's just like, "Would you like the paper? Would you like this?" And that guy goes and gets it. And so while that guy is gone and her dad is shaving, he starts hearing something. And then all of a sudden, what is it? Oh yeah. He leaves the water running and he leaves the blade on the sink, and then the blade ends up falling over. And so he picks up the blade, and so he's basically in the perfect like. He's very vulnerable.
Yes.
And he's on his knees, and figure comes from behind and it's just like you said, bashes his face into the sink.
Yes. And I really liked throughout this scene the way that the music fades as he searches for the intruder. It kind of reminds me of like Goblet of Fire, you know, when they enter the maze.
I actually okay, I get what you mean.
It's like you can hear kind of the noise happening, but it's very fading, muffled,
and then it turns into the like what's actually happening. I know exactly what part you're talking about. Yeah. Goblet of Fire. Okay, yeah.
I think that was a really cool scene. Cool. I liked the way that they handled the soundtrack there
too. I really like the music there.
They did a good job. But that scene, it's gross. It's real gross. And I love like the way that I love it.
Yeah.
It's just I can't look at his face.
Yeah.
And I like the way that the water's still running.
And you get all that red water and stuff
going into the drain. Yeah.
I like this, and that's why I was like, I really like it shot. The way it was like, oh, this is, I mean, I know
he
just got murdered, but it was aesthetically
he just
cool.
got brutally murdered, but
literally.
At least it was cute.
Yeah, for real. I mean, not his face, but.
Yeah, no, that was gross.
And so then at that point, we have Edith receiving letter or the mail and a letter from Thomas. And then she reads it. It's the way that she like literally like Thomas and just like rips that hoe open. And so
she runs to go stop him.
He's basically telling her like, I love you, and like your dad paid me and he made me do this basically. And I'll always love you. And so she goes to run and look for him at their little hotel. And of course, it's one of those moments where like, well, they've already left.
Yeah.
But then obviously he waited for her.
Yeah. He stayed behind.
He stayed behind while his sister left.
I put the confession scene as like overly cheesy.
I put like Thomas waited for her, broke ass boy. Like, of course he's going to wait for you.
He wants your money.
Literally. And then so he
was saying like something about like, a string is connected, like blah, 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 and I was like, I mean, it was good. It was very poetic.
Lines.
Yeah.
He's
but
definitely
I was like,
charming her.
Yeah, the way I've heard that before.
And then they have this big old romantic kiss, and then like quite literally, right after this scene, Edith gets news that her dad has been murdered.
And this whole scene, the identification of the body scene is so good.
Yeah.
The way that she's handling it. And when she's like, no, don't touch him like that.
Yeah.
And then she was like,
Because-
he's afraid of looking his age, you
yeah.
see? And it's like, oh, God damn,
Because
that's so
what's his
sad.
name? What's his character's name? Alan comes in and he's like,
He's being a detective.
yeah,
Like,
he's like, this is not normal.
which kind of ties back to when they're in the glass plate scene.
Yeah.
When she picks up Sir Arthur Conan Doyle,
uh-huh.
Sherlock Holmes, and
Yeah.
she's like, fancy yourself a detective. And Homeboy plays a very detective role throughout the entire, because he's like, nah, shit's not adding up.
Yeah.
And the whole reason that
He's like the one person
she
connecting all
lives
the
at
dots.
the end
He's
is because
like-
of
yeah.
him.
Mhm.
So
And so, yeah, she has to identify his body. Daddy's dead, and right after that, we have the funeral where we
see that ring on her finger.
Yep, he's got the ring on her,
Mm-hmm.
and they're married, and they now. Oh yeah, that's right. Now they're back in. He took her back to, what was it called?
Allerdale Hall.
Allerdale Hall.
Allerdale Hall in
England.
Cumberland, England.
There you go.
And they get to the house, and she gets off the little cart thing,
hmm
and he was like, meet my wife. And the guy's like, you've been married a while, sir.
Yeah.
And so
The
she's like,
servant guy.
what?
Yeah, and she's like, what did he mean by that? And he's
Mhm.
like, I have no idea what he meant by that.
And we get the little doggy. The doggy comes
The
up,
dog comes back.
and
This like
you
scraggly
can
looking
see
dog. Yeah.
that he's like,
Fuck.
fuck, why is this dog still alive?
It's the way that there's so many loose ends that I'm like,
Yeah.
hardly. I think because maybe by this time, it's their fourth marriage, they're getting sloppy with it probably. And they're
Mhm.
just like, we've done this so many times before. Let's just get this over
Get
with.
it over with, yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah. And I put right there, and Edith is ignoring. Oh, yeah. So he brings her into the house, right?
Yes.
This decrepit house.
Oh no, there's leaves on the ground.
literally a hole
And
in the
he's like,
roof
look, if you step here, clay comes out of it.
because it's
Which
sinking.
It never did again,
no,
though.
it did. No.
So
They
I was
never
like, and
really
that's
brought
also
that up.
not the base level.
Yeah.
So I'm confused.
Yeah.
But because then later on, like that's where she falls and like breaks her back,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
None of that happened. Like
there's no more sinking clay.
sinking, There's no.
And I'm like,
yeah,
I know she doesn't weigh less than Tom Hiddleston's like foot.
going. Yeah. So yeah, and I'm just put right here that Edith is ignoring a lot of red flags.
We see the spirits right off the bat too.
Literally.
She gets in and then she's like, I saw a
A
woman.
woman in the elevator,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, "Oh, Lucille." She's like, "No, not
No.
Lucille,"
Yeah, it was something else.
and it wasn't.
So right off the bat, we're getting spirits coming through, and it's like, oh shit. But he tells her to go wash up. And this bathroom, I love it so much.
Yeah.
Well, first off, if I could just live in this house a little bit tidied up,
It's a
I
beautiful
would
house.
be.
Other than the hole in the roof, it's a cool looking house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like that bathroom is amazing.
Mhm.
I love it. And he tells her that the water's going to run red at first because of the clay,
Yeah.
which is like, I mean, it's just good
Sure,
imagery.
and it makes sense, but then also too, I like, ew,
Yeah.
it's gross.
There's several, I mean, there are places. I remember when we had like well water
Mm.
at my house in North Carolina, we had a well
Yeah. So
And-
the water was like murky looking.
at first, and then it would run clear.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
just because like sediment gets in the pipes and stuff.
Okay,
And so
that makes sense.
it is like a normal thing.
Yeah.
But it's just, I feel like the fact that it's red, everything that's red, it's just good imagery.
Crimson. Yeah.
And everything else is very like pale, but the red. And then,
Pale or black or gray or dark.
well, but then
yeah.
she's also in this like canary yellow. I know I have a line somewhere here where I'm like, she looks so goddamn good in
Mm.
this yellow. She looks amazing.
Oh yeah. I know which outfit you're talking about.
Yeah, she wears it a few times or a few
Mhm.
different yellows.
The one where she gets the key.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She looks real good.
And so, oh yeah, and they're showing her around the house. Basically, she's already seen this ghost, but
And when she gets into the bathroom, we get to see, she doesn't see it. We see another spirit. And the
Yeah.
way that spirit moves is like so
Mhm.
creepy. It's like, nick, 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 nick. And then this is where I put the faces are actually pretty good. Like
Yeah.
I don't mind the way
Seeing
these look
them.
at all.
because
Mhm.
some of them are like, yeah, it's integral.
Yeah.
Later on. because at some certain points, that's the only part that you do see is the face of like some of these ghosts,
Uh-huh.
like the door scene kind of.
Yeah.
But anyways, he's showing her around the house. Lucille now comes into the picture, and Edith asks for copies of the keys. And then that's whenever Lucille's like, she clutches onto the keys and she's like,
You won't need them.
You won't need these.
Uh-huh.
You're going to be getting lost in here, and
There are
dangerous.
parts of this house that are unsafe.
Yeah. So once you actually learn it, then we'll get you some keys if you need them.
Yeah.
Which is already a red flag because like
They're not wanting her in parts of this house for some
they're
reason.
hiding things.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we have, and also oh yeah. Is it? That's right after, I guess they sent her to, or she's in the restroom. Is that whenever Thomas and Lucille are having this conversation where they're kind of talking about wanting her money?
I think so. And they're making
The tea.
They make the tea.
Yeah.
And this is where, my phone auto corrected to trees. And I was like, what the fuck? They're putting something in the trees? No, this is where this is where the first time you get the kind of hint that maybe they're mixing something in this tea that's not supposed to be there.
It's the way that I honestly didn't catch on to that until rewatching it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the third-ish time.
Well, because otherwise you would think they're just putting tea.
Yeah, they're just making tea. Yeah.
I don't know if maybe I thought it, so this is dumb, but the canister that he gets the like poison out of,
Yeah.
it looks super similar to the canister in The Nightmare Before Christmas when Sally is putting like all that whatever in Homeboy's tea or drinks and stuff.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's why my brain was like, oh, that's a poison.
That
Because
makes
it
sense.
looked
The
like
callback.
it.
Yeah.
And so like to me, I think I immediately caught it there that I was like,
poison.
something,
Yeah,
they're putting something in the
Yeah.
tea.
I just thought it was like powdered sugar. It was sugar. But yeah, so that's they're talking about wanting her money, and I think that's whenever she asks him like, "You picked her. Why did you pick her?"
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't give her an answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we find out later is for love.
Yeah.
But so then this is where it pans to Lucille playing piano, and we kind of get to hear a little bit about their mother.
Yeah.
And they get that picture, that giant ass picture of her. And I was like, man, she looks creepy AF. And Lucille comes up because Edith is like, she looks, and Lucille comes up and she goes, horrible. Like,
Yeah.
she's like, doesn't she look awful? Blah, blah, blah. And then she says, we like to imagine that she's looking down. We don't want her to miss a single thing that we do. And I was like, yep, they want her to see them doing all those nasty things they do.
She's spiteful.
Mm-hmm.
She did not like her mama.
No.
And I think, all that happened, and then we had the bathtub scene. Remember the ghost in the bathtub?
That comes a little bit later.
Is that later?
Mhm.
My bad. Okay.
And so she's going upstairs to go see his workshop. And this is
Mhm.
where we get the dust settling to look like a human on the wheelchair, which is really good.
Yes.
And we see hear the moaning and stuff. And his little workshop is so cute. I was like, I
He has
love
all the
his
little
workshop.
toys that he would make for his sister,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah.
They were cool toys. I was like, I would
Mhm.
own some of those for just like, they match my house.
Yeah. At this point, I also made a note of like, I really like this, like the design of this house,
Yes.
and like as she's going through it, and like the sound design too of the whole movie as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, they're having this little moment where they're talking. He's giving her his family history a little bit, telling her how like his dad like lost all their money. And then they kiss, right?
Yeah, they start kind of getting a little bit hot and heavy.
And then that's when Lucille walks in.
Yeah.
And it's kind of very
she's like cock blocks him.
yeah. And it's even the way like in his body language, the way he was like when a kid gets caught
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, I wasn't doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then she brings more tea,
More tea.
and he declines the tea,
Mm-hmm.
which because it's poisoned.
Yeah. But she's like, no, drink it.
And I think
If you want to
she
kiss her,
had,
drink it.
I think she had a separate cup already poured for her because
Yeah.
she then
Takes a sip as well.
takes a sip. Yeah. And so
It's the way that he doesn't trust her. It's like, you can tell like he doesn't trust her. Like he still doesn't take a sip of it, even though she takes a sip of her own.
well, yeah. And I think she already had her own cup poured like without poison in it.
Well, yeah.
And I think it was just I I think she offered it to him to make it seem normal
Yeah.
too.
Mm-hmm.
And so that way Edith wouldn't question. And
Yeah.
so, and
But
like,
it's
why
like
am I the only one drinking tea?
But also too, it's the way that I think even for him, like later we find out. I mean, she's basically the mastermind behind all of
Yes,
this. It's not really him.
No.
But it's the way that like even in that moment, like you can see like his distrust already of like, bitch, you might have put something in mine too. I don't know.
Yeah,
You
true.
know, and that's what I picked up off of it.
Mm.
But yeah, so she gets the tea. Basically, poor Edith is just getting roofied and roofied and roofied.
Yeah, she is.
So she gets drugged and she
Wakes
wakes
up
up.
in the middle of the night
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
to and an empty
right.
bed,
Mm-hmm. Thomas is leaving, not there.
and doors are opening on their own. And I was like, yeah, why is she not questioning these doors? Just like
Mm-hmm.
straight up going like meep.
Yeah.
And
Ting, ting, ting.
and then she goes and she finds the I believe this is where she finds the wax cylinders.
Yes.
And the
because
ghost in the
she's-
closet
yeah.
is actually really fucking creepy. That one I was like, I
Yeah.
said that face is the one I like the most, I think. And like I would shit my pants if I saw that thing. That
Yeah.
face they did a great job on that
Mhm.
ghost design there.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the way that like she's like has the door half like barely like cracked open and she's looking at the dog because she thought the dog was in there and then she's like,
Yeah.
oh wait, you're over there.
It's like, oh,
and you
shit.
just see that face kind of like
Yeah.
slump away. It's
Mhm.
like the way like the eyes roll back too, like it's
Real good.
Yeah,
They did
it's
a
just
great
like,
job.
Ooh, creepy. And then the door closes and she's like, what the hell?
Yep.
And then she does the thing where I would not do. Bitch opens it. I would be
Mhm.
like, okay, you know what? You're staying closed. I'm leaving.
We're not going there. Yeah.
We're not opening whatever is behind this door.
And then she keeps exploring and gets on the elevator, which then moves on its own, which is like another like
The house is almost alive kind of
Yeah.
situation. And also
and
too,
Thomas had already said that it tends to misfire a lot,
Yeah.
is what he said, but I think he knows it's the ghost.
yeah.
But he's telling her, and so I guess maybe that's why she's not questioning it. But
Well, it's the way. Do Lucille and Thomas see these ghosts? You think?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like I feel like the ghosts are there to torment them.
Well, it's the way that. Well, also too. I mean, it's. I think this has already happened too, right? Where.
As if the McCrispy couldn't get any better, Bacon and Ranch just entered the chat. The Bacon Ranch McCrispy, available at participating McDonald's for a limited time. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Right in the middle of it, Thomas and Lucille are like walking down the stairs at some point, and they're walking away from her after Edith has told them like she saw something, and they're like, "How did she find out about Mother?" Like kind of thing. And okay, I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay,
I mean, they definitely can because, she sees Thomas at the end
yeah,
and stuff. And I think those ghosts are there to kind of to get revenge, to make their lives a living hell.
yeah,
And anyways, the elevator goes down to the basement, though, where then she finds the luggage of
Yes.
Enola. And she's not really, I guess, certain that Enola is a person yet. But
Yeah.
there's a luggage, and it has on the little lock inscribed Enola. And so then that's kind of the first time we get
Yeah.
Enola's name. And it's a big integral part of this film, I would say. And that's who we kind of find out, I think, was... Well, no, that wasn't her in the closet. That was the first lady who had the
Yeah.
wax seals, which I don't remember her name.
her name was I wrote it down over here somewhere. It was like Margaret or something like that.
Yeah, that does sound familiar.
Yeah,
And then it goes back to the beginning, or not the beginning, but like they're back together and they're in the kitchen and they're
Mhm.
talking. And this is when we hear the word or the name Crimson Peak come out of Hiddleston's
Oh, yeah, that's
or
right.
Thomas's mouth.
yes,
And he's like, oh, we call it Crimson Peak. And she goes, wait, what? And then he was like, yeah, Crimson Peak because of all the red of the clay.
During the winter, whenever the clay seeps up, it turns the snow red.
And so he's like, just like Crimson Peak. Yeah, no big deal.
That's what
And then
everybody calls
she's
it.
like,
That's whenever she's
oh.
like, fuck.
Crimson Peak. Oh, shit. I know that name.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be scared of it.
And so she is now like thinking like, damn, okay, there's something really going on here. And then I got warned about this. And then that's whenever it cuts to back in America. Alan is investigating like what exactly happened to Mr. Cushing, because he's like still like, this is not right. And
yeah,
then
because you don't slip and fall into a sink and
bash
bust your face
like that
much
till you're dead.
Yeah.
And then so he finds out that that Mr. Cushing had paid all, or the last check that he wrote was to Thomas, and he's like, this is fishy. And
he really is being a detective here.
And then he talks to Mr. Cushing's lawyer, Mr. Ferguson, and even Mr. Ferguson's like, you know what? Yeah, something ain't adding up right. This is, you know, I found that suspicious too.
And he hired a Mr. Hawley,
and he
who digs up unsavory facts, is what he says. And so that's when now they're starting to put pieces
together. The ball
together,
is rolling,
because they're liquidating all of their furniture and assets over there, just getting rid of all of it, so that way she can have funds, the money wired to her.
Yeah.
And so they're like, so soon, like something's not right, that, you know, that's not like her. Her father's just dead.
Yeah.
And now she's going to get rid of everything.
And just get the money. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
they're like, mm-mm.
Yeah.
And then it pops to the dream sequence. And I love this dream sequence. It's very, I don't know why, it kind of gives me the Ring vibes.
Okay.
Like when the mom, before she hops off the cliff.
Oh, yeah.
But so we see Edith, and then far away is this like ghostly figure that's just got its arm pointed out. And I love that ghostly figure. It looks so good. That dream sequence, all of it is very good. I love it. And then
because it's trying to show her something, it's like, you know,
trying to point out that like, yeah, something's not right.
Yeah.
And then she wakes up, and at this point she's like, okay, she's, I think, spit up blood.
Yeah, she coughed blood.
And then she's like, if someone's here, give me a sign, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And the way that she gets pulled to the floor.
I wrote that too. It was like literally trying to make friends with the ghost. Push down.
Yeah. Like I was like, that is violent.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make like, it was insane. But then we get the bathtub scene where she is hearing a murder being replayed.
Yeah.
And it is the murder of the mother.
Yeah.
Where this is happening. We see the axe in the head. Now,
this is where they say after that, how did she find about mother?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And so now, fun fact. So I was listening to Two Girls, One Ghost, a favorite podcast of mine. And in episode 151, Kiwi Tales, they were talking about different places in New Zealand. And that scene was inspired because Del Toro, he was going and he was staying at the Waitomo Caves Hotel. Okay. And at the time, because he was there for filming The Hobbit, and when he was supposed to film The Hobbit and stuff. And this hotel was closed for this season because, like, I guess it's not a big travel, and then it's kind of like in The Shining.
That's exactly what I was just thinking of.
Yeah. It's essentially like that. And so, but because he's got a big name and stuff, he was like, can you let me stay in this hotel? And they were like, okay, yeah, fine. So he gets to stay there for a few days because it's notoriously haunted. And he's like, I want to be like
experience that
part of this spooky thing. And he says later on that there's only 2 times he has ever encountered a spirit or a ghost. And this is one of them, where he woke up in the middle of the night to what sounded like a very brutal murder coming from his bathroom. And he was just like, what the fuck? Because he was like, someone is getting murdered in my room right now. But he was like, but I know, like, I'm alone here. Yeah. And so this is like, ugh. And then, like, of course he gets up the next morning. No one's dead. No one's been murdered or anything like that. And so that encounter for him actually inspired this scene. Yeah. With her hearing the murder happening, and then later on going in to see the axe in the head. Yeah. Now that he didn't do, but that it all inspired that, which I thought was super cool.
And then the ghost is also like foreshadowing, because she's like, his blood will be on your hands to Edith.
Yeah. They're warning her. They're really trying to warn her. And so at this point, Edith is rightly freaking out and is like, I need to get the fuck away from here. Like, I can't be here anymore. And so they end up going to the depot because he needs to pick up some parts that were supposed to be delivered for his machine.
And she needs to get her mail.
Yes.
Yes.
And she really just needs to get out.
Mm-hmm.
But then they are possibly being snowed in is essentially what it is.
Yes.
And they end up staying the night there. And this sex scene is like high key hot. They did a good job with it. Also, I don't know. I also have like some sort of weird kink for doing it with your clothes like on.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because then it's like you couldn't wait that much. There's something hot about that. I don't know. Anything
That's
is a turn
whatever
on to
turns
me
you.
apparently.
Whatever floats your boat. It's the way that I like. I'm like my notes are like sex yuck. Because
Sex,
it's
yeah.
like, well, no, it's just more so like, man, this guy is gaslighting you and like lying to you, manipulating you, and
Yeah.
I think more so I was just like, not her giving it to him, and he's like literally the worst right now.
Yeah.
He's literally just trying to steal your money.
I think I
now
had
he's got-
higher. I think it was just because I've seen it before that I'm like, oh, but he redeems himself like the, and I'm like he's being manipulated, and so
Yeah,
I don't
they
know.
all are.
I was
Right.
excited that because this shows that's very big important part that he
actually
moving
cares about
on,
her.
and yes, actually cares and loves her.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. That sex scene was pretty good. I liked it. It was tasteful, and I mean, he's just hot.
Yeah. And then we have at this point too, it's kind of like telling two stories. Mr. Allen is back with Mr. Holly, and they're in that little whatever club, and he's telling him about he's explaining to Alan about how he was already married and all the marriage certificates and all that stuff.
Paris, Edinburgh, Milan. Yep.
Yeah.
Or London.
London, yes.
Sorry. Yeah. And then so they get back from the depot.
Oh.
Lucille is freaking out.
Lucille is their shit.
She does. And she picks up, so like we get to see, because breakfast is kind of burning on the stove. And Edith touches it and then recoils because
It's hot.
handle's fucking hot. So she moves it with the hot pad. But then Lucille comes in and she fucking grabs that thing and then slams it.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but her picking up the eggs, I really love that scene too.
Yeah.
The way that she's like slowly grabbing the eggs, it was, I mean, it's such a small part, but I thought it was a wonderful scene.
She really sold it too. Like the emotion of like, she was like she was jealous, she was mad, she was pissed, she was like all of them wrapped in one.
Yeah.
Like
she does a fantastic job throughout this entire film.
Yeah.
She really does a good job. And then all of a sudden it's like a light switch and she's like, I'll make you some tea.
yeah. Literally.
And then I was like, nah, bitch, tea is the last thing you need right now. Like, ugh.
And so it's the way that while Lucille is making the tea, that's when Edith sees on the key ring a key that says Enola on it.
Yeah.
And so she takes it, and that's I think she's wearing one of those yellow outfits you like. on
Yes,
that
this
part.
is where I put, she looks so good in this canary yellow. Like, damn.
And so she takes the key, and then she is, while she's left, to her own devices doing whatever, she goes investigating, and she goes back down, and she finds a little case, or trunk that says Enola on it, and opens it, and she finds those envelopes and like she takes just some stuff out of it.
And the gramophone like player,
yes,
so
to
that
play
way she can play those wax cylinders, which is very important that she finds that.
Yeah.
And
And it's
then
the way that she's like looking around in there too, and she sees like the vats of red clay, and she's kind of looking at it, but it isn't until she walks away that then like the body
floats to the top.
floats and
And
resurfaces.
I put reminds me of The Ring there as well too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just like the way that they film her like pushing that stick into the clay and kind of moving it around, it's like, ooh, shit, like when's something gonna pop up? Like you're kind of like,
You're waiting for it,
Yeah.
and then it doesn't give it to you, and then it gives
gets
it to you. But
Yeah.
it's like, because it's building it up for you, because you're almost like, damn it, no, like what, Edith, why did you? It's there, look, the body's there,
yeah.
get out. Yeah.
And then she goes and once she finds it, she goes and plays those cylinders. And the way that like the cylinders tend to slow at some point is so fucking creepy.
Yeah. It goes into like that demonic, slow monster voice. Yeah.
And then like the poem that Thomas is reading, and you can hear in Thomas's voice, he does not talk to them the same way he talks to her. It's very clear now that he actually cares about Edith, because the way that he sounds so bothered anytime that any of the other women were trying to talk to him in these recordings, you can hear him just being like, what do you want now? Like, what is it? And then
he was cold.
the way that he's reading the poem sounds very like he's doing a chore.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just very like, ugh. And then, yeah, the words that he's saying is creepy. And then the cylinders start slowing and it's like,
Yeah.
and then this is where she's putting 2 and 2 together.
She's putting it all out. She finds out. She's listening to all of it. And
Finds out about a baby.
Because the names of the women that he married were Pamela Upton, Margaret McDermott, and Enola Chiati.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was, I guess it was Margaret or Pamela. I don't know which one was on the wax cylinders. I think it's Margaret, right?
Yeah.
And she's saying how like they're putting the poison in the tea.
Well, and even Enola is the one
Mhm.
also. I think she's the one who actually says
Okay.
it, because there was recordings from all 3 of them.
Yeah.
But then she finds out about the baby,
Mm-hmm.
and then at the end, it's like the poison is in the tea. It's too late for me
Yeah.
and the child, but the poison is in the tea.
And then she coughs up blood again. And so
Yeah.
that's just like, fuck, I've been drinking poison this whole time.
And she goes to run. She goes to run out, and she opens those doors, and she's first off in her like little thin ass nightgown,
Yeah.
and she is knee deep in
In
snow,
snow.
like
Yeah.
above her knees.
That's a storm.
Yeah. And she's just walking through it, kind of
Mhm.
like, I was like, that's some real powdery, dry snow. If you're
Yeah.
just walking, like, because it was above
Barefoot,
her
too.
knees.
And then obviously she doesn't make it.
Yeah, because where the fuck are you going to go?
Yeah. So she
When
gets,
there's that much snow.
she comes back. She ends up like falling to the bottom of the stairs, right? Well, not falling, but like, what's it, like passing out,
Mhm.
right? Yeah.
Yes,
So
yeah,
she
she
ends up
passes
passing
out.
out on the bottom of the stairwell. And then that's
We
whenever
wake up in bed.
she wakes up back in bed and she hears singing.
Mhm. Not yet.
Not yet. No.
Lucille is fucking killing it in this scene. This is the way that when she's feeding her the porridge.
Oh, you're right.
And
You're right.
Edith has since discarded the tea. She goes, no,
Mhm.
I don't want that. I
Yeah.
don't want that tea. And then Lucille's like feeding her the porridge, and the way that she's like scraping the
Mhm.
porridge, like the spoon on the bowl each time is like, ooh. And she's
Yeah.
just feeding it to her, and she's like, I tended to mother like this, blah, blah, blah. And then she goes, you'll be out of this bed soon. And it's a threat.
Yeah. And in a casket,
Yes.
basically.
Yeah. Not, she's making it sound like, I'll get you out, like I'll get you better and get you out of this. But like,
No.
it's a threat.
There's a lot of underlying tone and like sinisterness to it.
Mhm.
Yeah. And at that point too, it's because Lucille knows that, like Shay at this point knows, like Edith knows,
Mhm.
because that whole, I think we skipped over it, but whenever Edith came and brought back the key earlier, or not
Yes.
brought it back, but like when she put it back, Lucille
Mhm.
did that intentionally, where she left it to like, I'm gonna test you and see if you had this key,
That's true.
and
Yeah.
she found out that she did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And at this point, Thomas comes in though afterwards, and he's like, "Don't drink that. Don't eat that."
Mm-hmm.
Like he's coming to his senses, and he's just pretty much like, "No, like this is poison." And he's trying to help her now at this point, and then she says like, "Let's get out of here. Let's leave." And he goes like, "I can't leave her part," and he says, "I can't." And I think this is where I originally caught on to the fact that they were lovers.
Yeah.
Because of the way that they're acting, I was like, no, something else is happening here. And then, yes, so like they're going, and then I think she does go back to sleep. And this is where she wakes up and she hears the singing.
Yes.
And she sees the floating spirit, which
The
is
baby.
Enola,
Mm-hmm.
holding the baby. And she then points, and you
Mhm.
can hear the singing again, that little lullaby. And she's essentially directing and
Yeah.
getting Edith up to that top room
Mm-hmm.
and where they're
Yeah, and so she walks in and she catches Lucille jacking off her
Mhm.
brother.
giving him a little hand job, and he's
And-
like kissing her neck. And
yeah,
okay, but he looks so hot there, like with his
Mm.
shirt undone.
this is the scene
and
you're
then,
talking about. Yeah, it's the way that he looks at her with like terror, like, oh my god, she sees us, and the way Lucille just looks at Edith like,
Like, this
he's
my man.
mine.
Yeah.
That look. Oh my gosh.
And she runs off, and then Lucille starts chasing her,
And
and
she's
then
like, you know now.
yeah,
You already know.
It's a
We
sense
might
of-
as well not put a veil between the curtain, you know.
all out in the open.
Yeah.
And she goes, "I knew it. I knew you weren't his sister, or like I knew you
love
weren't."
this scene.
And then she was like, "I am," and then fucking pushes her off
I
the
love
balcony.
this scene, yeah.
I don't understand
The way that she hits and didn't die, like the way that she didn't just break in half.
Yeah, because after she's pushed off the banister, she falls down, and right on her back,
Yeah.
she hits another railing before she falls onto the ground, where the clay does not seem to sink
Yeah.
out,
Yeah.
even though it did earlier. And I put, like, I truly don't understand how she's alive. I have no
Yeah.
fucking clue how she is alive,
And that was
or how she can walk.
that was a pretty gnarly fall.
Yeah,
Not
because her
even like
leg,
the height, but like the way she hit that second railing.
her leg is broken from it, and that's like kind of it, not her back. Which I'm just like, I don't.
Yeah. I'm like, that's not what you hit, homegirl. Yeah.
But at this point, Alan makes it. Alan has made it to the house. He had been traveling here, and he made it through the storm. And when he's at the depot saying, like, can you please, like, do you have a horse I could borrow or something? And they're like, no. And then he's like, okay, well, then come find me after the storm.
Yeah.
Like, come send for me after the storm, which is a very important part.
Yeah.
Because if he wouldn't have said that, those people wouldn't have been there at the end
Yeah.
when they're escaping. So that's a big part. But he's made it, and thankfully Alan is a doctor.
Yeah.
And so he's tending to her broken leg. And I was just like, Alan's so smart, and we love him. And he's like, okay, we got to get out of here. And so they're going to escape, and fucking Lucille stabs him in the like armpit
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Right
and
here ish. Right?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
and he pulls it out, which I'm like, don't you know you're not?
You're not supposed to pull it out. He's the doctor.
Yeah.
He's the doctor. And so that's whenever he gets to like the front door because Thomas is leading him in that direction.
And she's like, he says, if she doesn't do, like, if I don't do it, she will.
Yeah.
And he was like, you're a doctor. And this
Show
is
me
where,
where.
yeah. And he says, show me where. And it's a very redeeming aspect for him, I feel like, because he doesn't want to be doing this. And he's like, just show me where so you can keep living.
Yeah.
Which is, I love him for that. And then this is where we figure out too that the baby was, because she was like, you killed her baby, and she was like, none of them ever fucked Thomas.
Yeah.
Only you
That's
have.
the way
like,
she said it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And she was like, that, like, don't you get it? That baby was mine.
Yeah.
She says, but it was born wrong. And I was like, yeah, because it's fucking incest.
Yeah. And it's the way she was like, Enola said she could take care of it and fix it, but she lied.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so now we're getting to the real like meat of the film, which shit has hit the fan. Like, she knows that they are lovers, that they're in for her money, all that stuff. And Thomas is now going to hide Alan down. He takes him and he's like, I'll send her down here.
Yeah.
Like, you can escape. That part is open. And but now we're in the room with Lucille and Edith. This whole scene, amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. I love the way that she's talking about this like monstrous love and stuff, like that whole dialogue that she has there, and it's just wonderful. And the way that she's like clipping her hair and tying or braiding it up, and it's the fifth, like,
Yeah.
it's essentially the fifth murder.
Yeah.
She keeps little trophies of their hair, lockets of hair.
It's yeah.
And-
It really shows you like Lucille was the true brains and mastermind. She's the master manipulator. Like, all of this is her doing. This is all her will. This is what she has wanted. Because she basically is just like, she wants Thomas all to herself.
Yes. Yeah.
Quite sadistically.
She's like, you should have seen him as a kid. He was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And this is where she then admits, like, because she says none of these people had any remaining family. And this is where you figure out that for sure that she is who killed Edith's father. And
Oh yeah, because she's like, oh, your father. You should have seen the look on his face when I smashed it in.
Yep.
Oh,
Which
like,
is like,
she's
God damn.
cold. She is so cold, and Jessica Chastain plays such a good this character.
Yeah.
because
Killed
it's
it.
yeah, because it's no longer Jessica. It's like she's literally that character, Lucille.
She did a wonderful job. And Edith is staying remarkably kind of calm because she's like making a plan. She's smart.
Yeah.
She's figuring it out. And then this is where her gift from her father, comes back in handy, because she stabs Lucille in what looks right to be around her heart. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of shocked at how long Lucille stays up.
Yeah. Or maybe not even. Yeah.
Maybe
but,
it just was a little bit shallow.
but
But
it's enough for her to get away.
and she gets to the elevator, and
Yeah.
Thomas has come up, and she's like, "You told me you came
lied."
for my money. You
Yeah.
lied." And he's like, I did. And then she says, "You told me you love me." And he's like, "I do." And it's like,
all of these things are true.
I love the way I love the way she says all that.
Yeah.
It's so good. But then, so he tells her essentially to wait. He's like,
Yeah.
"Just wait right here. Please trust me. I'm going to go settle this and get those papers." To
He's
make
like,
sure.
I'm going to finish this once and for all.
Yeah. And he goes in there, and man, this is where he admits that he
The
loves
scene,
her to
yeah.
Lucille. And Lucille is like,
No.
"You love someone other than me?"
And
I don't think so.
Just starts stabbing this man.
Oh God. And when she stabs him in the face,
Yeah. Now
the way
that
it just goes
scene-
like,
Yeah. And it's the way that it's like she's just so unhinged, and the way that
fucks me up.
she really does, like, she has this like crazy just possessiveness over him that she's just like, yeah, nobody else can have you then, and just starts
If I
murdering
can't
him.
have you, no one can.
And then it's it's that realization after he like draws his last breath, as she just like starts bawling. 'Cause she's like, oh fuck, what
I
did
just killed the only thing
think-
I've ever loved.
Literally, yeah,
Yeah.
in a fit of rage.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Ugh, so sad. It's so sad.
yeah.
I was so upset the first time. I was like, no.
Yeah.
I was like, he's pretty shitty, but he's really trying. Like,
And then that's whenever all hell breaks loose, and Lucille just loses her goddamn mind.
yes. Oh, I love this scene. So she's coming for Edith now.
She
And
blood.
I love their flowy dresses, like running through that
It's
house.
the way, yeah.
Looks so fucking cool.
Yeah.
It looks so cool. And her like big ass sleeves, and she's got her hands are covered in blood, and she's
Yeah.
got the knife, and she just looks psychotic.
Very much
She
so.
looks off her fucking. She is unhinged.
She's dangerous.
Yes.
Yes.
I
and
would
so
be terrified.
We have them like, oh man, it's the final girl fight. And so yeah, they're coming downstairs. She goes into the basement, and that's when she gets that cleaver that
Yes.
she's like, I'm gonna kill you basically with the same thing that I used to kill my mother.
I said they, because no one was ever arrested for that murder, and I was like, they must not have searched very hard for a murder weapon.
Because it was right there.
Yeah, she just like
Pulled up a
one
little
loose
tile.
stone.
Yeah, or
and then
stone.
this fucking axe was under there, and I was like, they did not try. They did not try.
And then so she's just like chasing her, and it's the way that she keeps saying, I won't stop till you kill me or I kill
yeah.
you.
Yeah,
that line.
And she says it when they get up into that up to the outside.
Yeah.
And this foggy snow mixed with the red from the clay and everything, it just
I
creates
love
such
this
a
scene
creepy
too,
atmosphere.
because it's the way that Edith is there, like, and those whole movies about ghosts, right? But like Lucille, who's alive, is like this like ninja ghost, just like whipping fast around her. Like
it's terrifying because you can't
yeah.
see, and so the whole time you're like,
where the fuck is she?
Where is she?
Yeah.
Where's she gonna pop out from? Because like the way that it's set up, it's so hard to like orient yourself and be able to figure out where you are, where things are, like, and where to be okay. And then we get, she says that like, I won't stop until you kill me or I kill you. And then this is where we get Ghosty Thomas.
Yeah, because Edith is like, help me, and then she's like,
he looks weird.
Lucille's like, who are you talking to? There's nobody here. And she's like, yes, don't you see him? Turn
Look at
around,
him.
look at him. And Lucille sees Thomas, and he kind of is like this helping of just like distracting and getting Lucille's guard down for just a moment. And I love how Edith is just like, Lucille.
Yeah.
And then just whacks her right across the face with the shovel.
And then she gets back up.
Oh,
and
Lucille,
I'm like,
she's got
and
just
she says,
endurance.
she says it again.
Yeah.
She says, I won't stop until you kill me or I kill you.
And then Edith just hits her so hard it like scalps her basically, right?
Yeah. Ooh, it's nasty looking.
Yeah.
And then
And
she
then-
goes, I heard you the first time. I was like,
Mic drop.
yes.
Drop shovel.
So good. She did so good.
And then you have this moment where she's like looking at Tom as
She holds his face, and he leans into it, and it's like, oh,
it's very sad.
yeah, it is sad because you're like, damn it,
You
like,
kind of wanted them to work out.
yeah,
And
because they
then-
actually did love each other, which
Yeah.
is, so sad. But I mean, hey, we got Alan in the
Yeah.
background, so
Alan comes back up. Always got to have your spare.
yeah.
Alan comes and
This is where it ties back to the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
The ghosts are real. This much I know, and
That's when she says ghosts are real. This much I know, and it's like there are things that can tie them to a place. Death or longing or all those other things. And so the studio just went dark. God. And so and then it goes to showing like how Lucille's ghost is still there haunting and will forever haunt
because it says,
Allendale Hall.
and these are the ones, those ghosts will never leave. And the way it pans, so we see them leaving and the people coming to fetch Alan, so that's great. And the ending is really just, it's chef's kiss. Like, I love the way that it pans back over and ends with Lucille's ghost saying these ghosts will never leave. And then if you watch through the ending credit, it then again shows the Crimson Peak book closing, and it says by Edith. It says by Edith Cushing on the front, which is really cool. So that's nice that it ties it back in. So we had a few different little responses from our Crimson Peak post talking about it. And so Courtney, who we mentioned earlier, she also responded. She put, I love this movie. I don't find it necessarily scary, but it's so beautiful cinematically.
Yeah.
And she said she'd give it 3 boos, which, yes, I agree. It is so beautiful, and it's not scary, but it is. And then a friend of mine, Jessica, responded, and she said that it's absolutely beautiful, and she would give it 4.5 boos is what she said. So, and then a friend, Megan, she said, definitely was something else, totally shook from some of the plot twists.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think we are.
Us too.
Yeah. And she put Tom Hiddleston as my queen, and happy to see him outside of Loki, even though he's chef kiss there. But she gave it 5 boos. And then one last one from Derek, who we've mentioned before. His cracked me up. He put, Crimson Peak is the weirdest episode of Downton Abbey ever.
Yes,
And I was cracking up. And he said, it's okay, just more of drama than horror, I guess. And he said, not my cup. Not that I drink any tea that Lucille would give me. And he gave it 2 boos. So I was like, wow,
okay.
you really didn't like it.
Yeah. There's a good range there.
Yeah. So we've got everywhere from 2 to 4.5.
Yeah.
And 5.
And a 5.
One was a 5, yeah. So speaking of boos, what would you give this film?
I would give it a 4.
A 4?
Yeah. I would give it a 4.
Any particular reason?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was shot beautifully. I liked all the acting. I thought the acting was really good
so
throughout
good.
the entire movie.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that it was a story that just happened to have ghosts in it. It's like they came right at the right moments, and it really drove the direction of the movie, because the whole time really, like, you as a watcher and with Edith, like, you're getting scared into finding out the truth.
Yes.
Because they were like basically scaring her and leading her in the way that they could, all the way, even from the beginning with her mother's ghost.
Yeah.
Which also too, like, is her mother like a seer? Like, what the fuck? Like, is she a fortune teller?
Yeah.
Like, how does she see the
maybe,
future?
I guess
In
maybe
the afterlife,
some afterlife.
Yeah, time is not a thing. Obviously, it's social. It's man-made. But yeah, no, I give it a 4. 4 boos
4.
for me. Yeah.
I think, I don't know, I'm stuck between 4 or 4.5, just because, I mean, like I said, I loved this film.
Yeah.
I saw it multiple times in theaters. I own it on DVD. If I own it on DVD, I probably love it. Like, I own Psycho, I own The Strangers.
Yeah.
You know?
Strangers is one of my favorites.
It's such a good one.
Horror movies.
So I guess I'm going to we'll go with 4 as a horror film, 4.5 as a love story with some ghosts in it, as a drama thriller.
Love it.
Because yes, again, I feel it is, it's not necessarily horror in my book, but it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. it's a love story. It very much reminds me of Bly Manor. Not scary,
It's
but
for me, like, I mean, what I love about horror too is like there's so many subgenres
Yeah.
of horror. Like there's not just like, it's like there's sci-fi horror, there's monster horror, there's slasher horror, there's more thriller horror,
Zombies.
zombie horror.
Mhm.
And this is like that like period piece like kind of horror. Like
yeah,
it's still, at least for me, has elements of horror in it that
Mhm.
I would still classify it as horror.
yeah.
But anyways,
Overall,
that's-
it's just a
mhm.
freaking beautiful
That's
film.
beautiful.
So good, and I would 110% recommend it to anyone.
Mhm.
Like, it's such a good film.
Yeah.
So I think that's all from us on that today. As always, we are in the lovely Rogue Media Network studios. They take good care of us, and we're happy to be back with Mike and his new bionic
New
legs,
bionic hip.
hips. You can find us on exactly one social media platform, that is Instagram at.
Boo Bays Podcast.
That's right.
All one word, and that's Boo Bays with BAES, not BABES.
And if you would like your response to be read on the podcast, just reach out to us on there. Tell us
Yeah.
how you felt about any of the movies. We will be.
Slide into the DMs or just comment or leave a little something on one of the posts.
That's right. Yeah, because we'll be posting stories asking for your commentary
Mm-hmm.
on the film. So we will be recording that day, and then we will also. You can always comment on the post after it's up, and then we'll read it on the next one. So
Yeah.
just
We will get it covered.
Yeah.
At some point.
We want to hear y'all's responses, so we really, really appreciate it, as we said earlier. And you can find us to listen to us on multiple streaming platforms. Biggest ones being
Spotify.
Apple Podcast,
There's also Amazon, Google Play.
Google Play, Stitcher,
Yeah.
all those
Just
things.
pretty much anywhere you could find a podcast.
Yeah,
We
really
should
anywhere.
be there.
Yeah.
We even, yeah.
No excuse. But if you're listening on Spotify, don't forget to follow. But if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe.
Mhm.
That is the only way that we
Please.
can ever get ahead. So if you're sitting there listening right now and you're not driving, go ahead and hop on over. Leave a review. It
Leave some
really
stars, leave some booze.
really means a lot to us when people do that. And again, it's the only way we can get ahead. So if you enjoy it, let us know.
Yeah.
But I think that's all,
So,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
It's fun.
it was. It's a long one again.
Sorry.
There's so much to
There's so much to cover and unpack.
yeah. Whoopsies.
Well, thanks for sticking around with us. Bye, Bays.
Bye, bays.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.